Hello, this is Dr. Alemi with a brief introduction to real-time satisfaction surveys and how it can save your hospital a great deal of money and produce better results. There are several advantages in conducting real-time satisfaction surveys. First, these surveys are by far radically shorter than the traditional surveys like CAPHS. The survey that we have developed has 2 items, while the CAPHS survey that the Agency for Healthcare Policy has developed has 26 items. Second, these surveys are a great deal more timely. Instead of waiting for your results to become available at the end of the year, you have the results when you want it and when you can actually act on it and make a difference for your organization. Third, the kind of data we provide you is far more informative because we will tell you about time to the next dissatisfied patients, and we'll tell you if the dissatisfaction that you're seeing, whether it's a systemic problem or it's an idiosyncratic event that just happened randomly. We'll be able to help your improvement teams do less measurement and get going with improvements. And finally, here is interesting, the new real-time satisfaction survey that's more timely and better information costs radically less, 89% less. Let me go over these in more depth. This is our minute evaluation survey. This is the form when we use a postcard, and you can see there are 2 questions. Were you satisfied with your care? Exceeded my expectations, satisfied, not sure, dissatisfied, and so on. And the second question, what worked well or needed improvement? And people can write this in, record a message if they are doing it on IVR system, or type this in. There is also a brief consent telling them that we don't collect information and we don't share their private information. There is a visit code that doesn't need to be linked to the patient, and a location code that doesn't need to be linked to a specific provider. Here's the interesting point. On the left, we see the response rate to minute survey on exit and without any reminders. So this is a survey that's done as patients are leaving the clinic. On the right, we see this survey, the CAPHS survey done, the response rate of 38%. Our response rate is 77%, and CAPHS survey had additional reminders, so it was very expensive to conduct, but our survey was short and could be done on exit on every patient, and the response rate by far is a lot larger. You never know the people who don't respond to the questionnaire. Are they upset? Are they unhappy? We don't know if they tend to be unhappy, or is there a bias in our response rate, and so on. Anyway, a response rate of the minute survey is nearly double of what the CAPHS survey response rate is. And that is what reduces the cost a great deal. The more the response rate, the less we have to hire people to remind the patients to respond to the surveys, and there, as a consequence, the less the survey cost. Now you may say, oh, come on, 2 questions, how could it predict everything? Well, the interesting part is that all kinds of other questions that are being asked are correlated with the questions that we do ask. The overall satisfaction with care is correlated with individual items in the same instrument, and in one study the correlation was quite high at 0.80. Another study showed, 2 other studies showed that rating of global quality was correlated with the question we asked, the overall satisfaction. Recommending the care to others, would you recommend the care to others, is also correlated in 3 studies at the correlation of average correlation of 0.68. So you can see that the single question that we are asking people to rate, which is the overall satisfaction with care, is correlated with a huge number of other questions that are typically asked in satisfaction surveys. But what about the questions we don't ask? Are we going to miss those questions? First of all, the questions we don't ask, we tend to bias the patient. So if you ask the patient, are you happy with the receptionist services, they're going to comment about that. And that's a leading question. If you don't ask that question, you leave it open-ended, then you get a response such as ours, where you can write anything. You could write about the receptionist if that's what bothers you, or you can write about the physician or the nurse, without being led to comment on a specific item. Second, these open-ended comments are very useful. Here, for example, we see a comment made by an actual patient. BJ was wonderful nurse. Now that is very informative. We know exactly what the patient was concerned about. So if we want to go beyond knowing whether they are happy or unhappy, whether they are satisfied or dissatisfied, but we want to know why, well, we can do it by just reading their comments. Here is another comment. The anesthesiologist was curt and discourteous to one of her co-workers. Again, this tells us a lot about what might be the going underneath behind an increase in dissatisfaction in the organization. A third comment from the same survey: the doctor's office didn't give me orders and it was quite a hassle getting things done. These are very informative comments. Now, we also have an interesting mechanism that will take a large number of open-ended text questions that we collect on our Mia survey, and it will parse those into various actors, problems, and consequences, and then send that information to be included inside other longer surveys, so we can recreate the content of CAPHS from the content of a 2-item question that we ask them with a high response rate. That's the beauty of it. We don't think these responses are really useful. We think they are misleading. But if you really insist and you really want to have the longer survey question, we can recreate it from our own question, shorter question. We collect the data in several different ways. We can, as I showed you earlier, we can use a postcard that is dropped off in the box as patients leave. We can do an IVR system. We have the 2 questions. We give a phone number to the patient and they call the number, and within a minute they are finished with their survey. In the IVR system, they just record their comments as well as press the key to rate their visit. The mode that we prefer is touchscreen computer, and you can see that now you can have access to touchscreen computers around $200 to $300, so it's not a major expense. Of course, you can also do it by a mobile phone. Now, the kind of information that you get from our survey goes beyond just reporting the percentage of patients or the probability of satisfaction or dissatisfaction. We also give information on whether these events are systemic. Now here you see, for example, 49 consecutive visits, and you see that as visit 14 and visit 20th, the patient was not satisfied. Those could be random chance events. They fall under the upper control limit. But you see at the visit 46 onwards, we see that too many people are starting to complain, and therefore something unusual is happening there. These kinds of control charts are also included in the reports. If you decide to proceed, after we sign an agreement, there will be a period of about 3 months where we set up the data collection computers. We also, even though we may set up computers, we will have also alternative modes like printing of postcards or telephone calls through IVR units. Then we will run the trial and provide you with training. It would take about 2 weeks to do so. And for 3 months we will provide you with continuous data collection and continuous data reporting from every one of your patients. And we will end this phase 1 of evaluation of this product for you at the end of 6 months.